Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Ned over at My Philippine Dreams here in the city of Dumaguete, the city of gentle people, except for when they're driving or motoring about. Now, I don't know how up to date this information is because things seem to be changing on a daily, sometimes hourly basis. But this is just a friendly reminder. For the residents of Dumaguete City, Dumagueteños, if you will, today, July 31st, 2020, marks the start date of mandatory motorbike barriers for married or cohabitating couples who wish to ride together in the city of gentle people. Let me actually make sure this is working. All right, looks like it's working. The practice of back riding, which allows skin-to-skin contact, was banned early on during the dreaded malady to decrease the spread of the virus. Last month, in June, the spokesman for the president's office, Harry Roque, stated that people caught back riding should be arrested. This ruling comes after the mid-month extension of the implementation of the mandatory regulation to allow cohabitants to ride together on a motorbike so long as they are separated by a barrier between the driver and the passenger, referred locally here in the Philippines as back riders. So originally they said nobody can be on the same motorbike to help decrease the spread of COVID-19, and now they're allowing married or cohabitating couples to do so. All of this is coming down through the mayor's office here in Dumaguete under guidance of the Negros Oriental Police Office, the National Interagency Task Force of the Management of Infectious Diseases, and the Philippines Department of Interior and Local Government, known as the DILG. The secretary of the DILG, Eduardo M. Año, has stated that back riding is only for common law couples, live-in partners, and husbands and wives. More specifically, the secretary stated that this ruling applied only to those couples, quote, living in the same household, whether they are married, common law husband and wife, or boyfriend and girlfriend. All other forms of communal riding on a single motorbike are not allowed to this day. Secretary Año went on to say that the public's role in this is crucial, and preventative measures to contain the spread of the dreaded malady will be for naught if Filipinos, quote, insist on acting like we were in pre-COVID times. Eligible couples must comply with the barrier requirements and must also present identification verifying that they are living in the same house or apartment. In addition to the aforementioned motorcycle shield barrier, couples must also wear all required protective gear such as face masks, motorcycle helmets, and closed-toed shoes, and also reminded police and other security forces that they must abide by those very same rules. Because every now and then, if you're on Facebook, you'll see photos of police driving around not doing the things that they're supposed to be enforcing and stuff. So I think that's where that's coming from. In short, in summation, cohabiting riders must do the following. First, they must install or mount a safety barrier, also known as a back rider shield, between the rider and back rider. This design has to be similar to the design approved by the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emergent Infectious Diseases, also known here locally as the IATF. Riders must also present proof to operational security forces that they are indeed living in the same domicile, valid IDs with the same address, notarized marriage licenses, or the like. Also, third thing, both driver and back rider must both be wearing personal protective masks, like this. And finally, both driver and back rider must be wearing proper motorbike safety equipment, as we mentioned before, helmet and closed-toed shoes, no chinelas, as I learned out. No chinelas. Flip-flops are not allowed. One of the good things, and this is a quick aside, that's come out of this in Dumaguete City at least, a year ago, basically only about 20% of the riders wore helmets. Now, I'd say about 80 to 90% of the people that you see out and about here in Dumaguete City are wearing helmets, including myself. Like a year ago, I wasn't wearing a helmet all the time when I was just running errands. All right. As to be expected, there is some opposition to this regulation. which goes into effect today in Dumaguete. As far as I know, again, things are changing here. Things are fluid. Day-to-day basis, hour-to-hour basis, you never know. So the opposition. If you happen to follow some of the national news outlets in the Philippines, or simply, check your Facebook feed every now and then, you may have noted that there is some pretty strong opposition to the barrier regulation. Many Filipinos are incensed, indeed some are incredulous, noting that if a couple is regularly exposed to each other in their own home, why the sudden need to have a protective barrier between them on motorbikes? Safety experts and engineers from the Philippines, the National Association of Engineers the other day just put out a study where they said this is going to be dangerous, have also expressed their opposition to the ruling, noting that the design is unsafe for both rider and pillion, the back rider, and also an unnecessary added cost to families already struggling. Some politicians are also opposed. One senator, Ralph Recto, and if anybody's been to Manila and been to Recto, you'll know Recto, the name. He said, quote, "What's the use of a barrier when couples hold hands in going to the motorcycle and kiss each other goodbye after the ride? If they share the same bed at night, why can't they ride a bike together during the day?" Despite this, the barrier regulation is still in effect, with enforcement being left up to local government units. That's the LGUs. That would be like Negros Oriental, Negros Occidental, local governments, that sort of thing. So that's basically what I got. As foreigners being guests in the country, we have to abide by all the laws and regulations. So we have to do this. I've seen some people having improvised type barriers, like they'll use an ironing board. I've seen some people with ironing boards. I've seen some people using those big, tall mirrors. So there's ways to do this. So this is just a heads up. There's some areas, I heard Zamboanga is not going to be doing this. I also heard Bohol. And again, I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section. I'm not afraid to be corrected. I also heard Bohol, and I think the governor's name is Yap. I think he actually came up with one of the original designs for the barrier, but now he's saying, at least last I heard, that they're not going to be enforcing this either. I'm not entirely sure. All I know is that the checkpoints in Dumaguete are still checking for helmets, still checking for closed-toed shoes, no chanelas, and every now and then they're also checking to make sure that people actually have driver's licenses, ORs, CRs, certificate of registration, original registration, all that stuff. Let's go to the comments real quick. I don't want to do a super long video on this. Let's go to the comments. I hope I bypass that. Okay, some people are chiming in. Yeah, and like if you go to Philstar and some of the online news outlets, Filipinos are really getting down. If you know a little bit of Tagalog, you can see that they're not really feeling this all that much. But again, as foreigners living in the Philippines, we have to abide by all laws and regulations. So hello to everybody who's chiming in. Chuck, Charles, Martin, John Mara, Robbie, Jim D. Jim D notes that this law is completely void of common sense. The Philippine Mechanical Engineering Association published a paper that proves it's unsafe. Robbie Morris says, what about all the accidents these things are causing? Martin Bolton asks, when is the ashtray on a bike to be implemented? John Marlatt says, sounds like common sense. Yeah, I mean, and this is a big problem because a lot of transportation in the Philippines, especially with families, the vast majority of families get themselves around, go to work, go to doctor's appointments, pick up food, go to the market, all that on motorbikes. So you'll commonly see a couple on a bike, 6, 7, people of a family on a bike all at the same time. So this is really affecting Filipinos. And it's difficult for them. The problem is, like, if you guys know, I think it's called Angkas. Angkas is the ride-sharing app. It's like Lyft or Uber, and it's very popular in like Cebu and stuff. And you just basically get the app, you sign in, and you can have a hobble driver come and pick you up. He gives you a helmet, and you go off, in case you don't want to take a taxi or an easy ride or a jeepney. So this is really affecting the Angkas, those guys, their work. So they're trying to come up, and actually the Yonkos guys have come up with a really high-tech version of this shield. It's like a little backpack thing that the driver puts on, and it's got, I don't know what they're doing about helmets and everything, because usually people share helmets, but that's what it's looking like right now. But things are good. It's a beautiful day here in the Philippines. We've had some good weather. It's been raining every night. It's been cooling off pretty nice, even though we do need air conditioning. A horrible thing happened last night, the previous night. Not last night, but the night before. We had a brownout, and I was stomping out. The air conditioning went off. Internet went off. Everything went off. This is about 2:30 in the morning. I went out to set up the car generator that I have, and I accidentally stepped on our cat. We adopted a cat. She's about 4 months old now, and she was like lying outside, and she got under my foot. And when I'm on a mission, I move around real quickly, and I stepped on her, and I hurt her, and it was horrifying, because not only was there a brownout, but now I had potentially killed our cat. I'll talk about that maybe tomorrow in another live stream. But long story short, the cat is fine. She went to the vet. She got x-rayed. I just maybe bruised some ribs or something. But if you've ever stepped on a cat, a kitten, you'll know how horrifying that experience is. Anthony Keller says, not here in Bayawan City yet. Yep. The Bruce says, let's address the truth behind social distancing. When everyone feels lost and there is no way out, they will start their war. Okay, I don't know about that. Mira Reyes, hello host. Hello, Mira. The Bruce says, I've ridden my entire life and study engineering. This is absolutely foolish to have this on bikes. Yeah, it does seem a little dangerous. Robbie Morris notes that it's just a money deal. Thomas Cowley says, lifetime biker here, 69 and still vertical. This is absurd. Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, just the day-to-day here in the Philippines for the average Filipino, with the no work, no pay. A lot of places are still in quarantine. A lot of places have loosened up quarantine. They got LSIs, locally stranded individuals, coming out. And if you watch the news, and I was watching the news the other day in the doctor's office, there are thousands and thousands of people waiting at transport centers in Manila, waiting to go home. These are returning OFWs, people that have just been stranded outside of quarantine centers, away from their homes. And they have to be centrally processed and shipped out, and then testing, quarantine. This is a really bad time in the Philippines. In the United States, at least, I guess they're getting ready for another stimulus check. They're extending unemployment benefits. Hopefully, they're improving that, because there's millions and millions and millions and millions of people unemployed. But in the United States and other first world countries, we have the benefit of these benefits and these things that are in place to help the average household maintain food on the table, maintain their residence, make their mortgage payments, make their rental payments, all this stuff. Mark King says, yeah, if both of you have a full face helmet on, then what good is a barrier would that be for the helmets? It's itself a barrier. I don't know. Anthony Keller also notes, similar to Mark, bike shield plus helmet with a face shield plus a mask. Yeah, that would work. All right, so that's basically it. Again, I don't want to, bother you guys and just keep on ranting and blabbering on about basically nothing. So thank you for tuning in. And again, this is just a heads up. If anybody is in Dumaguete City and you see this is actually being enforced, please leave it down in the comment section if you would. I'm also going to post this up on my Philippine Dreams Facebook page. And if you see any updates, experience any updates, we're actually going out for brunch later on. We're going to go to Gabby's and have brunch, because Chichai, she's actually going to be working in about 20 minutes. She's going to take a lunch break, and we're going to go down and have some Gabby's brunch in the open air restaurant down at their main location. So if I see something, I'll also update it in the comments section or my Facebook page. Dale Littlefield says, hey, Ned, happy days. Bogarts is open. See you there. Yeah, for anybody who hasn't seen the renovation of Bogarts on the boulevard, Alex did a fantastic job. I guess he did the design and supervised the renovation of Bogarts. It looks like a totally different establishment. I actually miss the old divey Bogarts, but that's just me. So again, everyone, until next time, be safe, stay sane, and I'll see you next time on My Philippine Dreams. Puppies, rainbows, unicorns, and protective safety barriers for all.